Good evening, everyone. This is Mything Gears, and we're here tonight to start a new campaign. Whoa, I'm so excited. It's called The Darkness Beneath the Floor, and I have some wonderful new players. So first and foremost, we are going to introduce them to you. And first, we have M.
I can find the unmute button, that would be ideal. Hi everyone, I'm M, and tonight I will be taking the role for the first time of Saito, a man who thinks he knows definitely what he wants and is willing to do a lot to get to it. But we'll see how his perfect plans will be foiled, which I'm sure they won't be at all ever. So thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. Next, we have Jonathan.
Hey guys, so I'm going to be playing a character called Eiko. He's the youngest brother of the disgraced line, and on top of that, he's also a recently discovered family member from a supposed to be long dead wife. So it's going to be fun. I've never played this type of character before, really, so this will be a new experience all around. But yeah, super excited.
I'm super excited to see what you guys are what you have in store. So yay. I don't know what else to say about that. Next we have Steve.
Hey everybody, I'm Steve. I will be playing Koma, who is a robot, clockwork, that has been sort of adopted by the family. And we'll have to kind of see what that means in a society where often clockworks are representations or embodiments of ancestors. And maybe he is, maybe he isn't. Guess we'll figure it out. But I'm very excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you here as well. It's going to be interesting to figure out and kind of navigate what does clockwork mean. So that's pretty awesome. And last but not least, we have Chad. Maybe.
We might have either thinking very hard
or we froze it. Oh, there he is. No,
we're good. We're good. I realized that I still had links up and that it was like okay. Hopefully this works. I don't know why I dropped, but yeah, no. Hi guys. My name is Chad. I am playing Osamu Koga, a, for lack of better terms, disgraced samurai. He is someone who values his honor, but has lost it, and now it's like this journey of figuring out what he is.
it'll definitely be interesting coming along this journey with all four of you and the things you bring to the table. So, everyone else, this is going to be a campaign set in kind of an Asian-inspired setting in my world of Tarnished Cogs, kind of a steampunky world. Various levels of tech throughout it, depending on where we're at in the world. And tonight, we are going to start at a place. I forgot to share the picture, so I'm going to do that right now. Just a second. choose this. We find ourselves, there we go, you can see behind me. We find ourselves now at the Koga household. However, unlike what you see in front of, behind me, this place is decorated with black ribbons all over the buildings, black flowers, ribbons like go out from the buildings to the trees. We have pennants. Everything is dark and somber as a household in mourning. And this session is called Tidings from Afar. Wings of black and white tell tales of sorrow and loss, tidings from afar. And as we enter this place, we find an old man kind of at the head of the room. He has called the family to him. And so there is a bunch of family members all kind of seated around before him in the family gathering area. And if you will, can you please describe your characters, what we see before us?
So Eiko would be standing in the back, kind of distant from everyone else who clearly would have a reason to mourn someone that they knew very closely. But he, unlike most of them, hasn't known anybody here for very long. And those who he has known since almost immediately after he got here, his family was disgraced, haven't been too kind to him. So he's more just trying to keep his distance and trying to watch what's going on, being careful not to offend anybody while also trying to be respectful at the same time.
Saito is kneeled right in front. He is kneeled down, hands pressing against the floor, bowing with the utmost respect, and coming up with a very passive face. One that wouldn't really reflect anything, which is the master of the court, a face that has no emotion on it, perhaps maybe either sly bemusement or boredom. And he is kneeling there, awaiting for any elder to speak.
Osamu is probably near the front of the room, but he keeps himself off to one side of the room. You see this rather tall samurai. He's dressed not in his full garb, but in a blue and white, like half kimono. Black. His black pants kind of hide underneath his cross-legged stance as he kind of sits there in front. But he is constantly keeping an eye on everyone in the room. Like he can't keep his eyes focused on the elders in the room. His long hair is just matted and aged with time and wear, but you can see he's anxious for something.
And Koma is just standing to the back, looking through the room. If you weren't necessarily aware that he was there, you might even mistake him for a statue that sort of adorns the room. And you can see his eyes sort of slowly move across the room, taking in these individuals and their varying forms of mourning. It's not something that he completely understands yet. He knows that the loss means many things, but the emotional impact of it is a bit more difficult for him to process. And I think perhaps he even, for someone who's very good at sort of standing still and not being seen, I think he shifts uneasily a bit with the realization that this is part of what keeps him from understanding. Like, he can't wrap his head around these yet. And so I think that starts to kind of grate on him as he shifts from his weight from his right foot to his left for a moment, trying to give these people their time to do it before he starts to, barraging them with questions.
And the man before you, Katashi Koga, he looks at all of you. His eyes kind of glance over you, Eiko. They linger a little bit on you, Osamu, but again, just kind of pass. Koma, when he sees you, he gives the briefest of nods. And then Saito, his gaze falls on you and your brother beside you, Yoichi. And his face, while still hard, softens just the slightest. It has been almost a year since the passing of your father. And he's saying this directly to you, Saito, and I can't even say that name, Oichi. Soon, your time of mourning will be over and you will be allowed back into the world to continue to pursue our family goals. But it has reminded me that I myself will someday too pass. And at this he looks at Yoichi, and I will need someone and he kind of pauses for a second. Someone worthy of leading this clan into the next age. And at his words, Saito, you are reminded of that day almost a year ago, back at the courts, when you received the missive that your father had passed. and had to immediately leave court and come back home. You have no idea what's transpired this past year in the courts. How are you feeling about that right now?
Saito knows that even a week, even a day away from court could basically mean the destruction and the almost the irrelevance of anyone who would choose to come back to it. He recognizes the almost insurmountable hill he must climb up for anything that he has gained through his short time with the court, but time nonetheless is most assuredly lost. Friends, allies, contacts that he has made have surely been lured away by the sweet whispers of others, telling them of, promising them of things for information, and soon the name of Saito would have been gone. In his heart, he feels this guilt and this horrible pit in his stomach. It leaves him without sleep, especially lately, knowing that his time is almost over. However, he understands that this is what needs to be done. This is what has been expected of him. And if he is to maintain any honor, any respect in general, he had to make that sacrifice. But even he still wonders, and I imagine that he is wondering it at this very moment, if the respect he gains from mourning the loss of his father will be enough to get him back into the cutthroats of the court, who will surely whisper behind his back.
And this, Saito, this missive that you received had also told you the way in which your father had passed. He was coming home from a journey on horseback when suddenly he clutched his chest and fell to the ground, dead. And this in itself, and not uncommon, but it brings to mind how his older brother, Jimu, had passed, which was similar yet different. Jimu was found in a tea house where he had also abruptly grabbed his chest and died. Both men, seemingly prime of their life, healthy, yet taken, as some would think, far before their time. But that is how this world works. And so Katashi continues as he's looking at the two of you. And then he gazes up and sees you, Eiko, in the back. And for once, he seems more melancholy and forthright than normal. Not covering his words as much as he is wont to do. But he says of how much he wishes that the clan hadn't fallen so far. And as he's speaking, he is looking directly at you, Eiko. I think it is my decision to not embrace this new technologies that have come to us, but instead keeping to the traditions, which I still believe is important, but maybe I took it too far. And then he looks at Yoichi, and hopefully you can right the wrongs and make this family prosper once again. And Yoichi doesn't say anything. He just kind of bows. Osamu, what are your thoughts about what Katashi has just said and about Yoichi being the one to bring you to the next to the next path for this family? What's going through your head?
Osamu is listening. He looks down at his hands for a moment. On one side, his normal hand. On the other, this, for lack of better terms, clockwork amalgamation of a mixture of traditional and technology. And when he says that he wants to stay traditional, there's something that there's a weight lifted off of Osamu, because that is what he wants to. But at the same time, how can you say that when you have something that has replaced something else? And so he looks up and he follows the eye contact, and he's curious. Why are you not even looking at me? So I think at that point he knows better than to interrupt a formal ceremony. But I think he would grandfather, if I may.
And his eyes slowly turn to you.
I understand. The burden that our side of the family have become. I understand. But I trust in your decisions, whatever they may be. But I don't know. I'm conflicted.
And so you should be. Osamu. Jimu. And at this name, like he did kind of, for one thing, it's the first time that you have probably ever heard him say that name since your father was disgraced. Well, probably since actually your father passed. And as he says that name, Jimu, he spits on the ground. He would have been good for this clan if he had not disgraced himself so. I have no doubt he would have led this family well. But it
With
is
that, yeah, I think Osamu is just like the more he's saying, it's just like the more you see Osamu's like behavior just cower because he realizes that like, yeah, I get it. My dad was horrible. I'm pretty much horrible too. So maybe I shouldn't have spoken up.
And he continues, and it is not to be. That honor, that duty now lies with Yoichi. When I pass, he will take up this family's honor and lead us. And if you have words about that, keep them to yourself. And at that, I'm going to just show here. Give me a second. And at that, Yoichi, as we see here, again bows to his grandfather. I will do my very best to lead this family. But I pray to the ancestors that that will be not for a very long time. And he bows deeper to the grandfather. The grandfather just kind of gives a chuckle and says, always with the flattery, Yoichi. It's not like I can give you anything else. At which Yoichi kind of blushes a little bit, turns red, and sits back down. And then Katashi just kind of says to everybody, forgive me. I forgive an old man for bringing up such an uncouth subject. It was rude of me.
So Eiko would actually speak up from the back, and he would say, "Grandfather, if I can, I was just thinking, if we're going to make Yoichi the new head after you pass, he's still untested and not respected by the other houses. Shouldn't we have, I don't know, a test or something so that he can be more respectable?"
And Katashi just stares at you. And he stares at you for such kind of a long time, an awkwardly long time, a time that it's almost uncomfortable, the silence and his stare. And he says, "You look just like your mother. What a tragedy that was." And then it's almost like he shakes his head. Oh, but yes, that you have a point.
I do think Saito would speak up as well at this point, kind of looking back at Eiko. It is very common in the higher houses to have some sort of ceremony, trial, to prove that the ancestors are in favor of the individual to lead the house. Word from the court. To be honest, our house is not that favorable as of yet. And so I would encourage us to perhaps take on this one more flashy ceremony, I suppose, this trial. To, like Eiko said, prove to the others.
You're muted, Karen.
Probably a good thing. So at that, Yoichi just kind of looks at you, Saito, and he almost gives you like that a glare for a brief instant. You can see almost hatred / anger in his eyes at what you just said. And then he turns to his father. He turns to the grandfather. "I must prove myself? Have I not done so already? Have I not done everything you have asked? Everything that has been asked of me in my times growing up, unlike some." And at this, he would turn to look at both you, Saito, and Osamu.
It is merely a formality, dear brother. Do not get dramatic.
Yes, and if you've already proven yourself, what's just one more time?
And with that, he has no words. Just kind of gruffly and bows to Katashi. And Katashi says, Yes, I think we'll do that. In 2 days' time, when the time of mourning is over, we will plan this. We will have this." And as he's kind of ruminating there, I turn to you, Eiko. In fact, all of you who are there and heard his previous words. Because though she has been gone for some years, and Osamu, because you don't quite remember her, but you still do, the mention of your mother passes in your head, and you see her face. And you know that you're not sure what your grandfather was talking about, because Eiko looks nothing like her. Not the woman that you knew. Koma, as this is all playing out, what are your thoughts?
I think Koma is trying to take this in. It's very obvious to him that this is, just from his learning, that there is some sort of power change going on, and he's not quite certain what that would mean for him, especially with the words of, not wanting anything progressive being thrown around, but also not taking it personally. Like, I don't think that something like that is something he would take personally, and just like, hey, we don't want these machines around, isn't going to offend him. But there is the realization that if it transpires that way, that he won't be part of this anymore, and being part of this is good, even if it doesn't quite make sense to him yet. I think that probably halfway through the conversation, especially when it started getting a little heated and there were the words being exchanged between Osamu and Saito and everybody else, that he probably stepped forward a little bit closer to Saito, just in case something strange happened. But I think he's been trained well enough that there's no hands on his weapons yet or anything. In fact, he's probably the only one actually in here not wearing a ceremonial weapon, but wearing a functional, like completely functional set of weaponry. And so I think when the silence finally sort of settles, I think he very gently and quietly steps forward and just touches the back of Saito's elbow, letting him know that he's there, and also that sort of, if you're ready to go, then we can leave sort of mentality.
I think you would get the head nod from Saito that you have probably seen many times. That's just the yes but not yet kind of nod, where he has something else, some other trick or something that he is about to unveil, or even just wants to listen in more.
I feel like as Koma would step up, he would kind of like draw people's attention to him a little bit, since he's like supposed to be this honored ancestor. And Eiko would immediately speak up and say, "Honored ancestor Koma, what do you think? Do you give us the blessing for this trial? Do you think Yoichi can use a little testing in your eyes?"
As wise as the ancestors are that may inhabit me, I have not been on this world long enough to be able to form the words that would answer your question. I would suggest praying to the other ancestors and seeing what they would tell you, so that it comes from many mouths and not just mine.
What about your personal assessment of Yoichi? As the ancestor who has been physically here to observe him, do you think he is ready for this?
I think he is no more or less capable than anyone in this room.
So the ancestor is saying that any of us could be the next. Should we all not be tested then? Should we all not have the opportunity if we're all equal?
Well, you are not all equal.
Elaborate.
Not by skill, but by birth. Some of you sit higher than the others, and they'll sort of look over to Osamu. No matter what you may think of yourselves. But testing is good for everything. A smith must beat and hammer the metal, fold it many times for a sword to be formed. And there are many times that he must make more than one to arrive at a creation that is worthy of honor. So it is a good thing that there are many children.
I'm honored by your wisdom, great ancestor.
Koma sort of stepped back towards the wall again, a little bit into the shadows, like, quit talking to me.
Yes, and I think because of your approach and then the subsequent conversation, Katashi's eyes have fallen on you, Koma. And he's like, Ancestor Koma, not so fast. I would like you to decide this trial.
How would you like me to do that?
And he turns to Eiko. The two of you come up with a trial that will prove whether or not Yoichi is worthy for this family. And Yoichi, who at this point is kind of bristling, you will do this trial, and you will prove for once and for all your worth to everyone.
Eiko would bow deeply and say, "As you say, grandfather, it would be an honor."
If this is what you would ask of me, I will do it.
Good, good. That is settled then.
And Eiko would say before everyone is dismissed, and so that there is no issue of our side taking advantage of this situation, I would also like to include cousin Saito in this discussion so that we can have representation from both sides of the family. Would this be acceptable, grandfather?
What a wise choice. Yes. The three of you. Please.
I think that everyone but Yoichi misses the ever so slight smirk, like the sly grin that comes across Saito's face, not unlike not unlike some sort of viper waiting to strike. And it is fully directed at Yoichi and nobody else.
And Katashi is silent for a while, almost looking down at the floor, and then he looks up. What are you all doing still here? Go.
Yeah. Eiko would bow and then leave the room and wait for Koma and Saito.
Let Koma and myself accompany you back to your home, grandfather. Back to your room. You look tired.
I'm not that old and decrepit. No, I wish to sit here longer. But go.
Very well. And Saito makes a deep bow.
And as everybody leaves, Yoichi being one of the latter ones, he's like, yes, Yoichi, you too, go. He turns to you, Osamu. Osamu, if you will. A word.
This is Yoichi.
No, this is Katashi.
Okay.
And yeah, so Yoichi is just getting ready to leave. He was kind of lingering.
Right.
But his grandfather has dismissed him and asked you to stay. And I think Yoichi, as he passes you, kind of does not a glare or anything, but just kind of gives you that very stern look, like,
Right.
Why you?
And there's this like, I don't know, don't ask me, look on his face like I'm not that important anymore. So he'll stay and he'll bow before grandfather and what would you have of me?
And he waits for all other eyes and ears to leave before he continues. And he says, Osamu, I've asked you here to stay because there is something I need to discuss with you, and you alone. I do not know how much you know about your father's disgrace.
I don't remember if we talked about it or not. So, no, I probably would not know about my father's. No.
No, you were probably late teen, so you were fully invested in the Osamu, and not anybody else. You were also at this time quite smitten, if I do recall.
Yeah, that is true indeed. Yes.
Yeah. So shortly after your kind of childhood thing there, that's when your father had been disgraced. And so Katashi's looking at you. Yes, of course. You if I do remember, you were going through your own things back then, but that is not of import right now. And if he did not tell you what disgraced him so, it's not my point to do so yet, but I will say that he was trying to rectify his dishonor, make amends, and reclaim his position. And I will speak true, that he had my full backing in doing so. However, he died before he could complete his task. And we are in the position we are in now because of this.
I think that would be where Osamu would speak up. Grandfather, what exactly was the task you had him do?
And Katashi looks at you, looks deep into your soul, if you will, to see if you are worthy of hearing this. And it almost seems like after a lengthy time of him staring at you, he has decided something in his mind. Your father, he was the guardian of an artifact extremely powerful. It was his duty to protect this item with his life. And he failed in that task, and he lost the item. This is why he was disgraced. But if that item can be returned to our family so that we can continue to guard as we have been tasked to do, honor could yet be restored. Because not only did he disgrace himself, he put dishonor upon our entire household. Osama, I am telling you this because, well, you have nothing left to lose, if I may be frank.
You can see he tries so hard to not chuckle at that, but he can't help it. He looks down at his arm. And Karen, if I may, if I remember correctly in the notes, I'm not sure. I don't remember, but if you could help me. is, I guess how I'm trying to word it, is his arm already special?
Yes. So when your father died, I believe that's when the decision was made to attach his sword
Right.
to your arm.
Right. I'm wondering if I can, and this is up to you. I'm wondering if I can take some liberties here. I just want to make sure that it's okay for me to do this before I do it. Okay.
Go for it.
Okay. And he looks down at his arm, and for a moment, you can hear him chuckle from below. And then right afterwards, I think it's more him hearing the voice than it being outward. But he hears his father. Osamu, you must do this for me, son. I don't want to do this for you, father. I don't like the idea of having to... You don't like what? Your grandfather is asking you to do something extremely important, and you will. I'm afraid. Fear is normal, boy. It is normal for you to have fear in battle. Now, be quiet, nod your head, and do as father says. He grits his teeth. His hand on the ceremonial pommel. It would seem that I will do this for you, grandfather. I will attain that item, but in so I would hope that my honor be restored, as well as my father's.
Katashi looks at you, and there is no sarcasm in his eyes or anything as he says this. If you can return this item, you will be guardian as you were to be. And this family will have a great leader. But fail me, fail us all, and your name will never be spoken in this hall again.
Through a set of pursed lips, Koga, or Osamu, runs his hand through his wild locks and... I see. Very well then. I will do that. With that knowledge, at least I know you're right. I have nothing left to lose.
Now go, before the others suspect. Who knows what they will suspect. We will talk again shortly about this. I have much to tell you.
So a quick thing, Karen.
Sure.
See if this is possible, or if this makes sense, I guess. So my character has an ability called bot information. And I was wondering if I could use that to have had a spy listening while they were talking that will report back to me what you guys have just talked about. Okay, so I just need to know what the DC is to figure out how much money I need to burn to get this information.
Okay, so what is how does the talent or
So
what is
it's pretty much, it costs me 50 Fang, I think is the name,
Okay.
right? So it costs me 50 Fang per difficulty number. So whatever the difficulty is, it's 50 times that, and then I automatically succeed on the check.
Okay. Yeah, I think number one, I mean, he's pretty paranoid to begin with, so it would be hard. However, this is family. He wasn't expecting it, so I would bring that down to average, I guess, especially too that they're in the time of mourning. So I would say at this point he's would not be as vigilant in making sure everything was safe before saying so. He just assumed. So yeah, it
Cool.
would be average. So that would be
Alright.
2 purple. Or
Cool. So that would cost me. Sorry, what did you say? The second, the Quillen.
Kieran. So
Kieran's.
yeah.
Cool. So that would cost me 10 Kieran's.
Yeah.
And I would put the money into my agent's hands as they tell me this. And I would look at Saito as we are, I'm assuming, someplace meeting and talking. And when this agent leaves, I would smile and I would say, wow, I think we've just learned something very valuable. So, did I perform to your expectations, most honored cousin?
I think Saito just kind of smirks. You're learning.
Your lessons have been very enlightening on how the politics here work. But it seems there is even more intrigue going on than I would have suspected. Our dear grandfather is looking to raise my brother, which will no doubt be utilized by Yuichi. Although I fear we might be on a timetable. Yuichi is more than likely going to kill the old man sooner rather than later, now that he's been officially named.
Yes, but brother isn't stupid. He knows that if he doesn't have the favor of the courts, or the other houses, at least a little bit.
Yes.
then
So
it
this
doesn't matter.
trial that we have concocted will be a very good weapon to keep him away from the old man. But with this piece of information, I think we can also keep him away and regain our honor at the exact same time. What say you?
I am not sure that Osamu is not the most forthright, ambitious person, which makes him excellent leader.
Yes. He makes for a pretty good doll for you. I assume you'll be able to put all your ambitions into him, but he is an honorable man that people will follow. Even though he sees himself as disgraced, people do respect him. Still.
Yes. He is what this clan needs to rise back up.
Yes. And he is just open-minded enough that I'll be able to transform our poverty into wealth pretty quickly. Now, as for this challenge, I think it's a pretty safe bet that we should send both my brother and your brother on a quest to redeem my family name and to therefore redeem our family and clan in total. Regardless who wins, honor is still restored. However, it keeps your brother away from the clan. buys us some time.
I agree. I think that sending him away is an excellent idea. And if we can direct him in the direction that that Osamu needs to go as well, we can kill
Mm,
two birds with one stone.
yes. I think that is an excellent idea. Misinformation is part of my favorite thing. Giving them both the same information or different information would be very good. Maybe we should split this task into two separate pieces. Maybe construct two leads that bring them to different places. Eiko says, what if we utilize Yoichi's own servants, his own personal spies, to feed him negative information so that it seems like he thinks he has a lead? He would be more likely to accept these terms if he thinks he already has a jump start.
I think so. He goes in a wrong direction. We get rid of him for a while. We send Osamu in the right direction. And with that, he also happens to gain this. It gives us enough time to find this artifact.
Yes. What do you think, honored ancestor? Have you heard of such an artifact in your travels?
No.
Oh, Koma, you are my favorite part of this family.
I think Koma raises his hand perhaps for like one of the I assume wherever we are, like there's like a servant that would bring us tea or the equivalent thereof.
Mm-hmm.
And when that servant comes over, he takes a teacup, fills it with tea, and drops a coin into it. He pushes it in front of you. Without touching the glass or getting any part of you wet, remove that coin.
And Eiko looks at you amused. And he calls over a waiter or one of the servants that says, ma'am, can you take that coin out for me? I seem to be so lazy. And she would reach in and take the coin and hand it to him.
Koma kind of smiles. His head turns more than a smile. Very good. A judge of a man's character can often be answered in such a thing, whether he asks for the coin to be removed or demands it. Says a lot about how he will treat his people.
What about you, Koma? You have any ambitions for the seat?
I do not wish to try to control or direct another's life until I have figured out my own.
But if Yoichi gets put on the seat, do you think you'll have the time to figure out your own here? One's life does affect more than just their own.
It will make things difficult, but I have experienced difficult before. In fairness, I would probably be sent away. Osamu, on the other hand, Well, I don't think simple exile would be the answer.
Yes. And Eiko would simply nod and say, that would be quite an allowable result, I think. I think we're all in agreement here.
I think at that point, that's when Osamu probably comes around to your part of the pagoda. And agreeable to what, brother?
And Eiko would smile and stand and say, brother, we were just talking about you. How did the
Of
meeting go
course
with
you were.
grandfather?
As good as expected.
That's wonderful.
He made me feel like a kicked dog, and yeah, I've been sent on an errand, so there's that.
But don't leave too soon. I think you should stay and see what me and Saito have cooked up.
How long have you been back, Eiko?
Only like 2 years.
Only like 2. Okay. You go away, and all of a sudden you come back, and it's like nothing ever happened. Of course.
To be fair, brother, I never left. Technically, I was born there and came back.
Fair. He he looks to you, and you can see he's got like this frustration in his eyes because he doesn't know how to take you. You know, obviously, you coming back, being a part of this family, it's a little bit off-putting for him. But he said, he nods and says, all right, I'll bite. What are you two working on?
I will let my honored cousin explain.
First, a question. Was there not that bandit camp in the mountains? It was causing much trouble, as I recall. Not too far from here, but I remember grandfather speaking about his concern with them moving further south.
Eiko would smile and say, yes, I heard my brother grousing about it just the other day.
Wouldn't a leader of a clan, and I'm sure of a house, and wouldn't all the other houses pay much respect to someone who, with a small number of men, could go and take this bandit camp, bring the leader's head back? I think he would be loved. However, mountains are funny things. Vast, cold. And the bandit camp moves around so much. It'd be very easy to get lost.
I see what you're saying. Only a really strong, graceful, and intelligent leader would be able to maneuver the mountains and find the bandits and return, and only a fool would be lost there.
Osamu kind of like, you know, the look of someone like bouncing back and forth between conversations. As he can clearly see the two of you plotting. And then you, like, I don't know if you, I still haven't decided if you would hear it or not. I think it's more internal at this point right now. But I think that Osamu would have this inner dialogue for a moment. and it would be of his father.
You said you would perform a task. I did. And yet we are sidetracked by the rest of the family. But I agree with them.
You agree with them?
Yes. You have not fought significantly for some time, son. It will be good to get your rust off your blade.
Very well, father. I will do as you ask. And he just like shakes his head. It has been decided then. We shall go up the mountains and rid this bandit camp. For, how did you put it? Status and honor.
And Eiko would look at Saito. Well, I don't think that is a decision that we can make on our own, brother. I think we will have to bring this to the grandfather. As right now, Yoichi is the one who needs to prove his honor, isn't it?
This is the trial? This is what you're going to ask?
Yes. As I said, only a fool would not be able to accomplish this task, and only a great leader would be able to accomplish it. Do you see yourself as a leader, brother?
Not at the moment. No, I don't.
Brother, if I were to ask you something, what would you think of being the leader of this clan?
I really don't. You should do it. I really do not think that I am fit. Lies. I do not think I am ready to take that mantle, Eiko.
Yes. I don't think it is possible for you to take the mantle now. We are dishonored. Which fits me, but does not fit you very well, I think, brother. But I think me and Saito might have a way of granting you an opportunity to remove that stain. Would you take it?
He thinks for this for a long time, and he kind of rubs his hands together, and you can hear like the clanking of the metals and the cognitions of the fingers. And
If it meant ridding me of that stain, yes, I think I would.
Eiko would look at Saito and smile. He'd say, then I think we're all in agreement. We will tell grandfather our plan, and you should wait to go on your task for him until we are presented. If you can wait that long, then I think you will be pleased with what we have come up with. Right, cousin?
Saito looks to Koma. There was 3 in this council. And he just looks expectantly.
There was. But you two have already made a decision.
No. We welcome other ideas, if you have them.
We will see how this plays out. And then with a sort of like almost unintentional knowing look, I think Koma turns to you, Osamu, and goes, Have you always been close to your father?
He looks at you, and if his sword could stab through your chest plate, it probably would right now. If his eyes, if his eyes were literally like swords, he would probably be just glaring at you.
Yes. Very close. For as long as I can remember.
I did not know him very well, but I can see a lot of him in you.
You see this like anger on his face, but as you say that, he sort of softens.
Thank you.
And he looks you over, and you can tell that there's an unease about his demeanor towards you. Something about you, Koma, being this clockwork ancestral figure. He sort of shifts his weight away from you.
He says, I'll be testing my steel out front. I'll wait for you there.
Are the two of you clever enough to create an epiphany? Because if Osamu does not arrive at the conclusion that he is a fit leader, no machination will see him arrive at such.
Koma, I think you are mistaken in one aspect. I don't think we need him to think he is a good leader. I think we need everyone else to tell him he is a good leader. Changing the perspective of everyone else is very powerful when they reaffirm something about you.
I believe you. But as many times as I have told the cat out front that it's a dog, it still meows.
Well, have you tried raising it as a dog?
No. The cat is far beyond raising, as I believe is Osamu. But I trust you both.
Your wisdom is not lost on us, Ancestor Koma. And he would bow to you.
I think as you do that, Koma, like sort of instinctively, maybe this has happened a couple times before, reaches out and sort of catches your shoulder gently in mid-bow and pushes you gently back up so to prevent you from the... And it doesn't say... I mean, it's almost like he might even be pouring tea for Eiko when it happens, and he just... No, we're not doing that.
And I imagine that this has happened a few times before, and you know that no matter how many times you do that, Saito still does that. No.
I think Eiko would just watch this whole situation with amusement. As he was raised around clockworks not being revered but hated, and seeing one so revered as someone to bow to them and the clockwork rejecting them is very amusing to him.
So is it your intention to send both of them after this bandit?
If my brother went to go fight the bandits, he would find them and he would kill them all. No, that is not the point of this task. Yoichi is going to go find the bandits and hopefully, with the correct amount of money and a lot of misinformation, take a long time to find bandits who may or may not be there. But in that time, we will have to guide my brother into, as you say, an awakening of thought, I think. Taking him to the right path, finding this artifact, and while doing so, changing the perspective of all those we see. Also, for Saito and myself, taking this opportunity to progress a little bit in our respective fields. Opportunities will come, I think. A good adventure.
Yes, our job will be to aid Osamu.
Yes. Which means we will have to choose 2 others to aid your brother so that it looks fair.
I think so. Would Saito know? I mean, he's been around his brother for a year with a court eye. Would he know who his brother would choose to be his, I guess, to accompany him to this bandit camp?
Absolutely. Your brother, as gruff as he is, he still has childhood friends that have grown up and now are part of probably important parts of the guard here. So 2 of them would stick in your mind as probably the ones that he would call for. They're loyal to him and
Okay. I know the 2 that he would choose to accompany him. I also know that they particularly like to drink. Perhaps I can have a conversation with them.
Good.
Give them some suggestions as a concerned brother.
Mhm. I think this plan is coming together quite nicely. So I have another question. So does Yoichi, so Yoichi is not married that I know of, right?
he is married. Yeah.
Oh, he is married.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So is his marriage like a political marriage, or does he really like his wife?
I would say both. From what you can tell, it was definitely done to help the clan, as was like your sister's marriage. But he genuinely looks fond of his wife. They look fond of each other.
Gotcha. So he would look at Saito and smile and say, I think there is another way in which we can also ensure that your brother will accept this proposition of ours. I will send a missive to his wife's family and have them attend this ceremony of sending or whatever. And I think with their presence here, he would be pressured to accept whatever we throw at him.
Would that be feasible to have the family, or are they more than 2 days away? Or like, when would we have to send it out? Do you think?
I don't know.
I just has to care. Like how big are these like estates and houses and stuff?
I could also say that it is also possible that with Eiko being who he is, he probably already sent the letter out.
If it's his wife and he is fond of her and he was there for a morning, she's probably in town with him.
Yeah, his wife was definitely there. If you're talking the wife's family,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't live here. They'd live where she came from.
Could like, if we say sent a horse out messenger, would they be able to get here in that time?
I'm gonna say a horse, no, But if you sent out like some sort of maybe like a clockwork missive, if you had such a thing, bird or whatever, something that's a little faster and not needing to rest.
Too bad we're Amish.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I
Ah.
really don't think the
Ah.
technology would be here.
Except Eiko would. Eiko's all about that technology.
I think Koma is going to excuse himself at this point as it sort of gets deeper and deeper into the political game, and that's not really his at all his piece. But as I stand up, the coin, perhaps when you took it out of the table, you or took it out of the cup you left on the table, he slides it over towards you, Eiko, and then takes a moment to sort of stand and take in the room. Something he's very good at, right? Like he can look around a room and go, okay, there's this many people in here, pretty quickly. And then he leans in towards you and goes, I wonder how many of them have been paid to listen to conversations. And then turns and walks out.
Eiko would smile and look at the coin and say, of course, all of them, but by me. Yeah, I think me and Saito would probably start to go into the nitty-gritty details and working out like what we need to do to put pressure and who we need to like bribe, how we can get the information, so on and so forth. I think we would have a very busy 2 days.
Would you have us make any rolls for that? For the making sure that I don't know.
Yeah, actually, I would. If you so you want to plant information so that Oishi gets the wrong information.
Yes,
that
about
correct?
the location of the bandits. Like,
So do you want to plant that before you tell grandfather of the trial, or
yeah, very, very subtly, just not even mention bandits or anything, but more like put thoughts in their mind about places, maybe like mention a place a bunch of times so that they kind of think that it's subconsciously their idea when it comes up, if that makes sense.
yeah. So I'm thinking this will be a deception.
Okay.
A deception roll. And you're kind of doing it one-on-one over, or having somebody else, like you're paying people to do this as well. Is that all?
Yeah. And also, yeah, I think Saito would have one night of, drinking with the two buddies and also do that as well. So like when that time comes.
Okay. We'll treat that as two different roles. One for the general, I guess like the servant body or whatever that he would, and then another one for the specific targeting the two friends.
Okay.
Now, are you both working together, or are you?
Yes. So I think what I would like to do is have the spy that I paid to give me the information between the conversation of the grandfather and my brother. I would like them to report that information to Yoichi, but I would like them to hint that the location of this object is in the bandit camp.
I will just say, because you would know this from the conversation and the information that he heard, that no one else in the family is supposed to have known about this artifact that Osamu has been told to get.
Yes. I want to, like, I would imagine that, like, this servant I'm using them almost as like this is Yuishi's servant. Like this is like his personal spy that like informs him of everything. I just pay him more than Yuishi does, so he tells Yuishi whatever I want him to know. But in order to get Yuishi to really try to do this, I think what I want him to think is that if he gets this artifact, our family line is done for. So
Okay,
I want him to try to go to the mountain to get, so like I want him to know information that he thinks nobody else knows.
Okay, so
You know?
you want to leak that information to Yoichi.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. And obviously you don't want this to come back to you. There was a table. I'm having trouble finding a table for a group of people, but let us do. Okay, so let's do the deception roll for the buddies, the two guys that are that you're having a drinks with one evening. Make me first a charm roll average and let me know how you do on that. And that's going to affect the deception roll that you do subsequent to that.
So average is 2 purple, correct?
Yeah.
Oh, the dice look different now. I don't know why. Like
Did they
the
change?
little pictures are newer. Anyway, sorry. That is 1 success.
Okay, so you are charming. You will get 1 boost die on your deception roll.
Okay.
This will be hard. A failure on this doesn't mean that you didn't get the deception across. The failure on this would mean that they're not maybe they're suspicious or something, like something else.
Okay.
So make me the roll.
And that's deception?
Yes.
Okay.
Hard, but you have a boost die.
All right. Oh, whoops. Sorry, I did that wrong. Oh, that's okay. That's cunning. Okay, there we go.
And don't forget, you have story points if you want to upgrade your dice.
Okay. I got 2 success and 2 advantage.
Okay, so you can let me know what you'd like to do with the advantage, but you obviously succeed. They are buying the story you're telling. So what would you like to do with those advantage?
With the advantage, this is cool because in the other Genesys game it's less socially, so
Yeah.
socially. So this is cool. I'm just looking at what I can do with advantage in a social situation.
Yeah, now those ones are more targeted for when you have like an ongoing social kind of social combat where you're kind of trying to knock each other's strain down. So this could be something a little bit more narrative because it's kind of a thing that we're taking all on.
Okay.
Must be good.
Could I begin the seeds of doubt of Yoishi's character, even amongst his closest friends? Like not anything big or anything, but just maybe like the smallest inkling.
What if you've planted the doubt in their mind that he would have the nerve to complete this knowing that his wife is with child?
Oh, I love that. That is so cool. Yep, absolutely. That's amazing.
All right. Now for the okay, so let's deal with the servant of Yuishi. So what exactly, I'm sorry, what did you want to have him tell again? You wanted, oh, you're muted.
You are right. So I want him to, or her, whatever the servant is, to tell Yoichi about the artifact and about the grandfather sending our brother to go find it, and also to tell him that me and Saito were talking about a bandit camp. So I don't want there to really be any lies. I want there to be like truth, but missing information to allow him to put the pieces together.
Okay. And you pay this person.
I do pay this person.
Okay. I guess make me I guess the best would be a charm roll, or if you have any talents and stuff to go with it. This person, I'm gonna say this is average because you pay this person. They are, not hostile or anything to you, right?
No.
Yeah, so it should be fairly easy for you to get to have them say. I'm making average in case, so that they have the chance of messing up when they deliver. So
Gotcha. Okay. And average is 2 or 3?
2.
2. Cool. Let me just quickly check to make sure I don't have any talents that need to be used on this. Nope. Okay, so that cancels itself out. So I have 3 successes and 1 advantage.
Okay, I would say for sure. Okay, so you've got 3 successes. So you managed to, in this case, like the servant manages to relay the information that you wanted Yoichi to have. And you have 1 advantage. So it'd be a minor thing, but what would you like to add to the narration?
I guess the minor thing is that I would really like Yoichi to believe that the servant is telling him this, like, honestly. Like, that he believes that I don't know that the servant is doing this.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, he's naive to the fact he has a double agent.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. And then there was the group you wanted to just have the word spread kind of that, I guess, amongst the servants about bandits in areas. Is that right? So
Yep.
that would make me again a deception. And it will be hard. However, I'm going to give you 2 boost dice because of your relationship, and you're not actually doing this yourself. You have help with the other rolls that you guys have already done. So 3 purples, but you get 2 boost.
Saito, did you want to make this roll or did you want me to do it?
Sorry, what kind of roll is this?
It's
Sorry.
a deception roll. I'm not very good at lying, by the way.
I have 1 rank in it and I have a 3 cunning. Does that beat yours or?
Yes, my cunning is 2.
Okay, then yeah, Saito can roll. So that's 2 boost die then?
Yep, and don't forget you have story points if you want to use them as well.
I would for this because this is pretty terrifying.
Okay, so yeah, upgrade 1 of your green dice to a yellow.
Perfect, thank you. Ooh. All right, 1 success and 4 advantage.
Okay, so you just succeeded. So the word is spreading that, or maybe not so much the word is spreading about bandits, but rumors and gossip are talking about the bandits again like they used to. Because you mentioned that this had been something that might have happened previous.
Mhm.
So you have 4 advantages though?
Yes.
Yeah. So how would you like to use those?
Perhaps the information isn't congruent, as in different places are mentioned, different locations, but it's not enough. Let me know if this is too far, but it's not enough to raise suspicion.
Yeah, how about if it's also coming with those 4 advantages? It's almost like you really didn't have to work hard. It was like you just lit a match and it just kind of tindered throughout the servants themselves, and they kind of spread it like wildfire. So it's like that telephone game where somebody says something and then by the time it gets to the end, it's like something completely different, but they're
Mhm.
all talking about bandits, but there's so many different stories about what happened and where and who last saw it and whose grandmother just got attacked and all that sorts of things, right?
Oh, I like that too. Like there are some like really honest reports of like, yeah, my sister got attacked yesterday, you know? Like that's cool.
All right. So that has been Eiko, and Saito has tasks for the last couple of days. Meanwhile, Osamu, Koma, what have you been up to? I know, Osamu, you left a little cranky, maybe. So what were you?
Yeah, I think Osamu is, to ease his pain, to ease his fears, he tends to go off on his own and practice his swordsmanship. He prides himself on that, and so I think that that's something that he would go and just do. He tends to do these things alone, but I kind of have this vision that maybe he's practicing. Maybe there is a training ground where the young soldiers of the village, the little, I don't know how big this village would be, but it, depending on whether or not it's like a militia or if it actually has soldiers, but he would go to probably the pit that they would train in and just spar with some of the younger soldiers there.
And I think it's in one of these sparring sessions, like maybe shortly afterwards, and you're walking back to the manor proper, and Katachi comes across you again, almost like he was out searching for you. And he's like, Osamu, a word. The time is almost here where you'll be free to leave once more. And I wanted to let you know what you should be looking for. It seems like nothing, like a trinket maybe. But this item is powerful, and it is dangerous in the wrong hands, and we need you to bring it back. And then he proceeds to describe in detail a mirror. It doesn't seem, like anything terribly descript. It's very unassuming. But as he tells you more and more about what, the little details about this mirror and how you could recognize it, you are realizing in a sick pit in your stomach that this is the exact thing that you gave away to a woman those few years ago. You remember finding it in your father's room and taking it in a bit of anger towards him. What is going through your head as Katachi is telling you this?
The bottom falls out of his chest. And it's like, even though he's been sparring, nothing could have hit him harder than that last sentence. And the air just sucks from his lungs. A mirror, you say? Well, and do we know where it is?
Your father had a lead. That is where he was when he died. That is the only place I could... If you could trace his steps, maybe you could find it too.
I
But
see.
he kept this to himself. So I only know where he was headed, if indeed he was headed. No, I know where he was found when he died.
As he's talking, you see him look down at his arm, and he squeezes the pommel of his sword harder and harder till probably a little bit of the bamboo on the edge of the pommel itself sort of cracks with frustration. Mm-hmm. And then he'll continue to listen.
So you all know, I mean, you know the last place that your father, like where he was when he died. It was in, I do not have the name right now on my head. Let us say Sagashi was the town that he, or like the larger city that he was in.
Okay. So I think at that, well, we'll I'll make arrangements. I'll head there soon. Thank you, grandfather.
Don't disappoint me. And he walks away.
With that, as he walks away, Osamu would be walking away, and he would probably be muttering to himself and having a conversation with himself.
You did what? No. It was childish. Everything you've done is childish, son. But we cannot change that now, can we? No.
And then he'll look up, and I think he'll see Koma. And I think for the first time, you actually catch him speaking to himself.
Koma. I did not see you there.
That is part of my job.
Well, it appears that I know where we need to head. Would you help me?
Would I what?
Would you help me?
And almost through gritted teeth, having to ask this ancestral clockwork to help him.
Please.
I'm yours to command.
I know where we are to go, for it is where my father went, but it is the last I remember of it. I need something. I'm not good at tracking. I'm not good at finding things. I need you to be able to do that for me. Could you? We're looking for we're looking for a mirror. Do you remember that mirror?
I honestly doubt it was ever shown to me.
Yeah. My father had it. Never mind how he lost it, but I need to get it back.
When do we leave?
Well, if it is up to Eiko and Saito, we will go all together. However, I want to leave as soon as possible. And he'll kind of like look down toward his arms. No, don't talk to me like that. I realize how stupid I am. We should leave as soon as possible, though. The longer we stay here, the more chance that Yoichi will find out information that he does not need to be privy to.
Well, I am not sure that either of them will be ready to go before the mourning period is over. They have some plan they're enacting.
He sort of grimaces and gruffs at that.
Of course they do. Very well. Let us go talk to them and then figure out where we're going after that. But if you could have seen the look in Grandfather's eyes, I swear if I don't do this, I'm practically dead.
Almost assuredly.
Oh, thank you for the vote of confidence. You...
I'm not saying that you won't accomplish it, just that you are not wrong in your assessment of what will happen if you return unfruitful. Osamu, if you do not choose to lead these people, Yoichi will.
That's not exactly a fruitful situation either. So, I don't think I'm the best leader. If anything, Saito will say that he is the best leader out of everyone. And trust me, I have heard my brother, since the time he has come back, tell me how wonderful of a leader he could possibly be. So let's just put it this way. I'm probably one of 3 at this point. If I could ask a favor. You are ancient, for all I understand. What do you see in me?
I think maybe to your disturbance, He reaches for your face, and I imagine there's that flinch at first, not of someone about to be struck, but like you would if someone were to take a piece of rotted meat and move towards your face with it.
Right.
That repulsion. And so he stops.
What?
I don't see anything. You have spent so much time worrying about who you were. You've put no thought into who you will become.
At that deep line, I think Saito, I think Osamu just goes silent for a minute. And he looks up.
Maybe I enjoyed who I was becoming before everything fell apart.
I find that expression to be very strange. I've heard many here use it to say that everything has fallen apart. But I look around. The buildings are still standing. Your family, some notwithstanding, alive. A future in front of you. A promise of redemption. Your clothes appear to be in good repair. Tell me, Osamu, what exactly has fallen apart?
Listen, I don't know if you've experienced loss before. I don't know if you've experienced what an emotion is.
I
I don't.
do not know. Before I came to you, there was an old man, a caretaker for a roadside shrine. He was gentle. I can remember asking him similar questions. What did he see in me? Who was I? What would I become? These are questions of a child, someone who does not know themselves, someone who thinks that something can be asked of such and a simple reply given that will hold. He told me one day I would understand, I would discover that everything, everyone, every being has a purpose. That same night, a traveler killed him while he was sleeping. I killed the traveler. I would imagine in the time that has passed, his remains have been eaten by some animal. I did not take the time to bury him. I felt something. Not loss, not rage. What is that feeling when you are young and you ask for something and are told no? It's not disappointment. It's not sadness. Is there a word for such a emotion? Because that is what you're experiencing, what I'm experiencing. I think, Osamu, that's simply called life. Something that we must go through every day until it's over. Only then can we sit down and recount what answers we have.
He looks at you, Koma, for a very long time. Unsettlingly so. And he just grits his teeth. Be glad you are an ancestor under there. And he huffs, so distraught by the sheer weight of your words that he heaves himself off in the direction. We have a task to deal with. Let's take care of it.
If you were to tighten those springs, your arm would hurt you less.
He looks down to the arm. You hear the tense gripping of the cogs and springs. I'm just fine, thank you. I don't need your help to tell me what I need. Thank you very much.
But yet you have asked for it twice this evening.
So I have. It seems.
Well, I believe this is what they may call the start of a friendship.
Is it now? And he'll kind of wring his the mechanical arm. It would do to have this looked at before we go into battle. Fine. I guess I can bear it. If you would, please, ancestor, look over this. And you can see that he has the emotion that he has to this. I would imagine that they kind of are walking in tandem along this back, and then there's maybe a small table where they can sit, and you'll see that he sits down just angrily, cross-legged in this sand, and it just buffets from his weight and just gruffness. The zen-like sand just pushes outward, and he'll lay the arm down just with a thud on the table. I don't like it as much as you do. Or maybe I don't know how you feel. I never do. Can you feel? And he'll look at the arm while I assume you're taking a look at it as well.
And so Koma will step in and he'll remove from a small pouch on his side small implements that he's crafted over the years to sort of take care of himself. He's not the best at it, but when he has pride too. He doesn't want to ask every time his knee's scraped, for someone else for a band-aid. But I think when you ask if sort of looking at your own arm, if you can feel too, as he's sort of working. Do you mean me? It.
Yeah.
Him.
You.
I'm trying.
Wait. Him? You said him? You can't.
No. I didn't
He looks
say
at
him.
you like really hard.
You can't feel him, can you?
Are you feeling okay? I simply asked if you were speaking to your arm or myself.
It. This thing. It has its purpose.
And I think as he sort of like tightens like the last spring and then maybe closes like a little latch that protects the mechanisms from sword blades. He closes it maybe a little bit stronger than he intends. Yes. Things always have a purpose.
Of course. Thank you.
And he'll sort of curtly nod and then take the lead heading back towards Saito and Eiko. Assuming they're still in the same tea house. They may not be.
Yeah. So we'll head back to the tea house, I think, at that point.
Yeah, I would think that they would still be in there in midst of planning and conniving.
Just all these different teacups on the table. All right, so this is this person. This is this person.
Yeah. A battle map.
Yes. I feel like is this the same day or is this like several days afterwards?
This is the same evening, right? Correct? Yeah.
It can be, or it can be the next day. Like we kind of took the 2-day period and we're kind of like going, I think, doing snapshots about all the various
Because I
things
thought we
and-
made rules for like what we were doing in the 2 days.
Exactly. Yeah. So if there's anything else you want to do in those 2 days, we'll continue to do that. And then we will pick up with, I guess, going to the grandfather with the trial.
Well, I think
Yeah.
Osamu wanted to talk with them about when they would leave, because he wants to leave now, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And technically you would have to wait for that second day anyway, because
Yeah.
yeah.
Saito can't leave. He's in mourning, so he can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you would come in with your chest and we would all just be like, no. Like we would just kick you out of the tea house. We have work to do.
Is it just the immediate family who wouldn't be able to leave, or is it all the family? Like, I assume Saito and Yoichi. I keep wanting to say Yoshi. I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
Yoichi would be mourning the longest, but would they be able to? Would the family be able to leave because they had been gathered to kind of celebrate like the end of mourning, or?
Yes. So, yeah, the immediate family, and any unmarried women, right, would be there. Like any married daughters, they'd be with their own family now because they're part of that family. So they wouldn't have this duty upon them. So, it basically is like your brother, his family, your younger siblings are here. Your mother isn't going anywhere. Probably his brother as well, if they could live in the same place, but so it's really just kind of that family unit that you are, if you leave, that's great dishonor you bring upon yourself.
Mhm.
The rest of the family who like kind of lives in the same kind of compound, they've been honoring it too, but they can leave and come back, but most have chosen not to because this is just how it is. But
Okay.
but your time of mourning is almost over. Like 2 days from when we started, so by the time like you've got all your machinations done, by the time you have everything set up, you'd be ready to leave anyway.
Right.
Not to be a spoil sport, but I'm gonna have to go soon. I have work in 5.5 hours.
Oh,
Yeah, I was
Jesus.
thinking we'll wrap that up.
That's fine.
I just want to get to the talking to the grandfather and do that scene, and then
No problems
Mhm.
at all. Cool. Silly police academy.
All right. Yeah. So 2 days later. um. So how do you want to do this, Karen?
so I think it's so maybe like before the morning of when the trial would happen, because the trial can't happen till after the mourning period anyway. So it's like the evening before, and you have an audience with Katashi, your grandfather, and you're proposing to him the trial. What do you tell him?
Gotcha. So when I'm proposing this to him, is it just like the three of us and him? Nobody else is in the room? Or is this like I'm presenting this to him and everyone else is present?
No, I would assume that it would just be the three of you and probably Yoichi himself, because he needs to know what the trial is as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and Osamu if you wanted him to be there, but he's not necessary. It's the three of you plus Yoichi who are the members.
I would say Saito would not, just to remove as much connection as possible.
Yeah, Eiko would agree. So yes, Eiko would stand with Saito and say, "We have worked tirelessly, grandfather, for the last 2 days to think on how we could present Yoichi to the rest of the clans and make him the most honorable leader that we possibly can. And I think we have come to a very good solution. My honored cousin, Saito, if you would do the honor of telling grandfather."
Of course, there has been, as I'm sure you have heard, recent news that the bandits in the mountains have begun to wreak havoc and have attacked some of the people who are loyal to this house.
Yes, I have heard rumblings recently.
You may have also remembered they were a problem in the past, and they were not properly dealt with, as we can see currently. I propose, or we, and he looks back, we propose that Yoichi prove himself as a great leader and as a steward to his land, and to show the people, the common people who don't see all of this, all of the policies, all of the laws, all of the rules, they don't see this. They see action. They see food on their table every night. They see being able to sleep in their beds comfortably. So we propose that Yoichi, with his chosen, go north, track down these bandits, and eradicate them, bringing their leader's head to present to you.
Kitashi turns to Yoichi. This is a noble and honorable pursuit. Are you up for it? And Yoichi looks at his grandfather, bows. Of course. It is my duty, and I will take care of this problem. I will gather my men, and we will leave on the morrow. Kitashi then turns back to the three of you. Very well, it is decided. The trial shall begin tomorrow. And just as he is saying that, there's a commotion outside in kind of the courtyard square. And Osamu, you might be out there maybe in the midst of your training or whatever, and you see this, and a man arrives through the gate, causing kind of a ruckus as, you know, family members are trying to stop him, but he's kind of pushing through. And you see him, those of you who leave like grandfather's presence to peek outside, and you see a man come almost stumbling into your courtyard. There are numerous birds kind of flying and making a ruckus about him. And you see this man bloodied, dirty, filthy from the road, injured, barely walking. And he is wearing the colors of Yamagoto, which you know to be the family of your elder sister, Taka. And that is where we're going to stop for the evening. Thank you, guys. That was an amazing first session. I love the interplay that each of you have. So I'm excited to see where you guys are going to take this.
Yeah, that was amazing. Oh, that was pretty great. I feel like everybody was riffing off of each other pretty well.
I gotta say, one thing I love about sessions, and I don't know if it's just with this group in particular, or if it's just something that I love across the board, it's the ability to go through a session and pretty much outside of a couple of rolls never have to roll a die, because you're enjoying the thrill of the characters as a whole. And I love that 100%.
Yeah, this was super fun. Also, Koma's like a coin in the cup test was like super fun. Oh,
that was some Princess Bride stuff right there, man. That was like some poison level.
This is also great. Also, Karen, like, shout out to you as a GM, just allowing us to do whatever.
She's like, "Oh yeah, that sounds awesome. Let's do it."
You guys were amazing. I really, really enjoyed that.
Yeah, no, this is so good.
I love the idea that like me and Saito are just like these master schemers behind the schemes.
For real, you guys gave me like Littlefinger, and like Littlefinger vibes, and it was just the best. I loved it so much because I was just like going, holy crap, they're gonna do this, and then they're doing this other thing, and then pretty much our entire village is just like one big rumor mill now. So I mean, hey, it's all good.
Yeah.
I feel
now I'm like really worried about what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Like,
Especially
hey,
because like all right, I have to ask. Did you have already set that plan up before like we started? Like
Which
what
one?
happened at the end?
Yes.
Oh crap.
it's like we could have gone this whole
damn.
time and been like, nah, let's just go straight to the bandit camp. Nah, let's just do this. At the end of it, the end would still be the same. You're like,
I'm gonna tell you guys. I actually sent a missive to our sister, and I sent that to Karen like on like a PM. I was like, hey, I want to send a message to my sister, and then immediately after that, this guy comes in, and I'm like, oh shit.
This is what
So it's
happens.
it's like, oh man, okay, because like the way that I've been seeing it is that our sister is like my financial benefactor. So it's like the reason I have money to throw around is because of my sister. So now I feel like none of our plans can progress until we get this problem sorted out. Beautiful.
I want to thank you all for playing. I want to thank everybody out there who has been watching and will watch in the future. Thank you so much. We'll be back next month with session 2 of this. And until then, I'll say goodbye.
See you guys.
If I can figure out